Well, hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to the last day of the EU SCC Championship and the last day of the European qualifier for this long road to Worlds. It's Goremizer. I got Mifflin on the desk with me as we are going to be closing out. Only 3 sets today, so if you've been watching the last couple of days, there's going to be one less. But we're going to go from the 4 teams we have down to 2 that move forward to the SWC group stages, where we already have the Titans, the Warriors, the Scarabs, and the Valkyries waiting. They'll take that 4, put it up to 6, and then next week it'll be North America. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let me show you the graphic, because what I just said was kind of an info dump, and instead, this lays it out in a nice, really understandable fashion. Last week was the Phase 3 playoffs. We got the top 4 for Worlds. In fact, a week ago today, we found out their seeding. The Kings came in as the first seed to the World Championship. This week, today, December 11th, my little sister's birthday, so happy birthday, Heather, is going to be qualifying 2 of the European teams to move on between the Mambo, Ravens, Scorpions, and the Wargs. We'll find that out in just a little bit. Next week, we're going to be doing the same thing we did this week, but with North America. 8 teams come in, 2 teams move forward, take a couple weeks off, come back, SWC group stage with the 4 teams that we got, that I guess technically that we got from the playoffs, but not in the way that they got to Worlds. They got eliminated, plus the 4 teams we got this week and next week. Throw them all together, see who comes out, and then the winners of that will move forward to the SWC, the Smite World Championship there live in Arlington, Texas in the Esports Arena. An 8-team bracket to raise Thor's hammer. A lot of fun. But that one's still a little bit away. We got to make it through the now and see what we've been working on. The bracket for today, and specifically how these teams have been going. You saw a couple of these matchups yesterday. Hex Mambo winning over the Scorpions. The Ravens taking a long time, but winning over the Wargs. And so that puts Mambo versus Ravens. That's the second matchup of the day. Scorpions and Wargs is where we're about to go into. And it is important to note, winner of the match 14 in this graphic, Mambo and Ravens, they go to the SWC group stages. Loser of match 13, what we're about to watch, goes home, and winner of match 15 will join whoever wins match 14 in going to the SWC group stages. So this is kind of do or die as we start looking pretty much at this initial set, right? We look at Wargs, we look at Scorpions, we look where we are going. One of these teams gets another opportunity to qualify for the World Championship group stages. The other team gets knocked out, and that's how this one's going to go. The Wargs, Mifflin, this entire time, have kind of just been surprising the hell out of everybody. Even in their losses, they have been able to drag out a lot of these sets, cause trouble for some of these top teams. I mean, taking Hex Mambo, taking the Ravens to 3. They have been a very impressive team, but it is the Scorpions today that they're going to be going up against, and specifically the player that they have to look at. And even though we've talked a lot about iDavy, a lot about GunTTeRR, a lot about Predss, a lot about Rapio, I think Panvich, the first day, played some absolutely insane Hades and has kind of lived up to that marker in most of these sets since then.
Yeah, I mean, Panvich, I think it has been a very consistent player for this squad. Maybe not the loudest in performance, but has always held his own, and that is incredibly valuable. The only thing that I would look at as a perhaps question mark is the god on your screen right now. Would prefer to see a little bit less Shiva going forward, but otherwise the tier, the Hades, the standard, just get in your face style of pick has been suiting him very well. And Panvich in particular, I think, a little bit more than some of these other soul laners, does like to play further towards his own backline, likes to be that, hey, you want to kill my mage, you want to kill my ADC, you're going to have to get through me. Whereas when you look at the majority of the other players in this role, it's, I'm going to go there and I'm going to kill their mage and I'm going to kill their ADC. Panvich more so of a team player, facilitator for his squad, and at times can step up and become that hyper carry as well. I'm really excited to see him play going forward. I expect a lot more of what we've already seen, which is the Hades and the tiers. I've only seen the Shiva once.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed it's the only time.
It's the only time, yeah, that it stays that way. And maybe we'll see it. Probably not, though. That one felt like a weird pick even when it was locked in. And it wasn't necessarily widely successful. The team they're going up against, though, again, the Scorpions coming in as 3rd seed, making it into the top 4, admittedly based on seeding, that kind of makes sense with how they've played, and they've done well enough. But the Wargs have been the team to just provide so many surprises. They have done so much. We've talked about quite a few of these players. I think that going into games, and mostly post-games actually, we've talked about Itori because this is someone who comes back in, plays a solo for this team, and Mifflin has been just like hard carrying in some of these games. I mean, you mentioned like how Panvich is a team player. If you're looking for the hard carry solo laner, put iTorii on the Achilles.
Yeah. It looks to me like iTorii didn't want to be a solo laner, especially when you look at some of his itemization. For those of you who have been keeping track, this is Golden Blade, every god, every game solo laner here. It doesn't matter if you're playing Achilles, it doesn't matter if you're playing Hercules. It's going to be Golden Blade, it's going to be running you down in the early. And he leverages that movement speed that he gets from his itemization to rotate to these team fights very, very early on. We've seen solo laners in the SPL try and match that style by just locking in global presence. The Athena, the Thor, those style of picks, maybe even at times at Variety, Ratatasker. But who needs it when you've got 7% built in very early, able to run down just about anybody he wants, and iTorii has been incredibly impressive. Maybe doesn't bully lane so much, but certainly still a hyper carry in what he brings to the team fight, and he brings that team fight very, very early on. I expect a contentious solo lane here. I really think that Panvich on the other side will try and match exactly what iTorii is doing. I would expect a tit-for-tat match here going forward, but it feels to me as if iTorii may open himself up to very early ganks. We had seen that be the adaptation from adapting during their set. Oh, this guy went triple squishy first item. Maybe I just go sit on that lane. And it tends to work out, but sometimes iTorii could just turn those around.
Yeah, it's that pressure that's necessary, right? Like, if you know, like, okay, Hawk, Spudio, probably going to be at least manageable even in a late game state. But that dude over there, no. I mean, we've seen him eating bans. We've seen him controlling games. We'll have to see what happens here. And picks and bans for game number 1, Scorpions and the Wargs taking each other on. Loser goes home. Winner has a chance to qualify, but winner, no matter what, winner has to play either Mambo or Ravens, which is not exactly the easiest matchup, but it's your only shot at getting towards the World Championship, so you got to take them when you can. Maui is actually the first ban here, which I guess we've seen a little bit more on the rise, specifically from the Wargs, but not exactly the most banned god that we've seen, honestly, since his release.
No, and this is slightly a departure from what we've seen all week so far. For the most part, Yemoja has been ignored, or if banned at all, like 10th ban.
Yeah.
It seems as if both these teams, as the week has gone on, seen a little bit more from Yemoja, seen a little bit more from Maui, have garnered a bit of respect for some of those picks. But we do get back to a bit of normalcy for the SCC with the rest of the bans, and largely standard across the board. There still are a bunch of priority picks available that I would have had my eyes towards. Maybe some of these Guardian selections still very strong, especially considering Maui and Yemoja taken off the table. You want to get some of those priority picks like Fafnir, which has been dominating the SCC recently, or even at times the Ymir. Instead, the Scorpions, they've got their eyes on early aggression and perhaps a bit of flexibility as well. We've seen Osiris jungle, we've seen Osiris solo, and we've seen them both this weekend. We could already have the solo lane matchup locked in, potentially. Yeah. But for the Wargs, that Achilles, I'm going to call his first item. It's Golden Blade, and it's going solo.
Oh, yeah, and based on what we've seen, it's done really well with that exact lineup. I'm always excited to see the Thor ban from someone who was kind of ignored for a majority of the last few years.
It's Rapio's
he has like a high
pick.
80% win rate right now. Yeah, so it's got to be something you control. Tier locked in. You had called for that from Panvich, something that we'd expect to see. Cupid gets locked in over there. And then matching the Fafnir. I was wondering, and still maybe a little curious if it's going to be double Hunter from the Wargs, but they lock in the Charybdis. Just a lot of safety in that pick. Top 3, though. I mean, you maybe count some power picks, like total, maybe 1 on each side. But the flavor in between really feels like these teams are picking the gods that their players are going to rock with.
Yeah, the only concern now is on this Wargs draft. You've got your Fafnir set up very early. You've got the Charybdis built with it. Generally, that indicates to me that it's going to be a double Hunter composition. Would give over the opportunity for the Aaru Scorpions to remove some of those contention points. The Magical Hunter ban and Soul, pretty powerful. I thought maybe we'd see a Chronos as well, considering what Zero's been able to accomplish on that pick recently. Instead, Agni. So they're saying, all right, we want to deal with the potential for double Hunter, 1 physical, 1 magical, but also let's just go ahead and get rid of some of those flavor picks from the Niflheim Wargs.
It's time to turn this battle in our
as the lock-in with your Fafnir. Not what I was expecting.
No.
If it were going to be a Hunter, you'd think like auto-attack Hunter, right? That is as ability as it gets. generally at our strongest with that Mannequin's Hidden Blade, Transcendence build. Not something we're used to seeing Neath or Ao Kuang now either. I believe picked twice so far this week, and both times L's, and both of them pretty fast. This is a draft that the Wargs can absolutely dominate with 30 minutes in.
Yeah, but it's going to take a little bit of time, right? That's always the issue. Good news is it's Europe. Betting on 30 minutes in actually might be beneficial for you.
Maybe.
We've seen a lot of this. Honestly, I look at this Wargs draft, and admittedly the Ao Kuang probably a little more out there. But other than that, it kind of feels like something you'd see the Kings lock in, right? Very European, their kind of style. BMT had loved the Neath. We'll see whether or not they can make it work. Can they last the late game, or the Scorpions going to just run the show from the get-go? We'll find out in game number 1.
Yeah, it's going to be an important start to this weekend. The first matchup of 3 as we go into day number 4, and this one is elimination. The loser goes home. Their tournament life is done, and the winner moves on to face, well, the loser of our next match to see what are going to be our 2 teams that are going to start qualifying in towards the group stage of play. It's J Mac Trelli and Doug bringing the action in game number 1 between the Aaru Scorpions and the Niflheim Wargs. And kind of going over to this composition that the Wargs have built, Trelli. I mean, we're looking at Ao Kuang, as mentioned, a little bit late game. Hawk on this Neath, not something that we see too often anymore. Definitely a little bit more of the ability-based hunter out there. How do you kind of feel about the transition from early to late for this Wargs comp?
I honestly don't hate it, just because, you know, the Fafnir is going to be buffing these auto attackers, but if I'm looking at the Wargs composition, I see 4 auto attackers. I mean, Tori builds Achilles in an auto attack style with the Golden Blade. Ao Kuang late game can definitely flex into a Telekind's Ring or something like that. And Neath still has that ability as well. And of course, Spudio isn't just an ADC. So I definitely think that it's got some intense late game, as long as the Neath is able to stay online and finish up that Transcendence early. Using World Reaper to set up some ganks. The early game is not going to be terrible either. You just want to avoid that 1v1 with Rapio. Anytime you see a Mannequin Scepter Osiris, you're probably not wanting to have that 1v1 anytime soon. I mean, like level 5 and before, Osiris absolutely dominant. I'd say even up until like level 12. Osiris is going to get the better end of that for most of the game.
So maybe expecting Rapio to be a little bit more active early for the Scorpions, try and get them some lead to deal with the Niflheim Wargs. Sarpe definitely not a god to fight into an Osiris this early on, whether that be because of that Mannequin Scepter going through, being able to kind of break that water illusion, or just in general not great at boxing up. Double taunt there by Predss, kind of get things started into the duo lane, but pressure has mainly gone towards Kha'Zix Spudio, even dropping a bracer in the lane to try and help with some of that early clear. The first Scepter of the game going to be going over to the Aaru Scorpions, despite the pressure that the Wargs have put out early.
Yeah, wanting to get that Interceptor on your support is just so nice for lane pressure, and it almost opens up an ability to go towards purple buff if you so choose, considering the fact that Predss has beads and is playing a little bit more passive on the Athena. I don't think that it's going to be too much of an idea to go for that invade. Usually when you see an aggressive relic, you can step up and say, hey, we're going to invade this purple, but with beads, that tells me that the Aaru Scorpions are fearing, number 1, the early pressure, and more specifically, the execute from Sarpe, right? If Ao Kuang goes over to duo lane and sees Athena dash in, then Predss could be in some trouble there. If not, for starting that beat to try and get away from the execute. But with the Interceptor, I think just some extra pressure in lane will help out being able to brawl. But it looks like Spudio actually getting the better of these early trades, just because Charybdis does have a ton of safety built into the kit, as well as just some decent clear. The buffed auto attacks really do help out when you're trying to pierce the wave and get some good poke on the Davy.
Predss steals the small of the red buff, but not going to be able to take away the larger of the one, thanks to help that Mannequin's for Hawk as well. Means that he's going to have some pretty easy clear in the jungle to deal with his own buffs. That means that the dual lane has largely now been left alone. The supports will rotate back over to soak up what little extra farm that they can for now, but because of that pressure that Spudio was granted earlier on, thanks to the help of Kha'Zix there, was able to also clear out the Harpies. That's going to give a slight advantage over to Spudio in the solo farm department. Spec level 5s probably come from this Charybdis, and Fafnir just a little sooner. But
Blink on.
Tori in danger. Lawbringer gets the fatal strike out, and the soul laner will be fine.
Yeah, nice try. Panvich was trying to block that fatal strike. Used the Lawbringer to close gap, but as one man, it's hard to just block that ultimate, especially when you've got a whole area to the right where Itori was able to zoom out. So nice attempt at the very least getting the ultimate down, and Rapio didn't have to use anything. Just wasting Lawbringer is going to be the biggest deal, especially when you got an ultimate for it. So you can tell some pressure over on the right side of the map, but it doesn't look like Rapio is going to stick around for the invade. That's what I was expecting. Looks like just going for their own blue buff is the call, probably recognizing Sarpé was close and had the execute to try and go for Panvich. And Panvich went for Blink, obviously, so that execute would have been deadly if it ever, the threshold came through. So probably smart just to back that one up. All over on duo lane, just dropping ultimates. I mean, whatever. It's so annoying watching Cupid fight Charybdis because you're using Fields of Love and then just for half a second Whirlpool form and out and saying, okay, nice job, you cleared the wave. I don't really care about that fight in the slightest, but this is a matchup that we've seen time and time again. Whenever a team prioritizes Cupid, almost always it's Ishtar, and if she's banned, Charybdis. So it looks like a matchup that the Aaru Scorpions were prepared for, and at the very least, Davy's going to be able to get back, finish up that Dev Gauntlets because of ulting that wave and clearing a bit faster, and then zoom back over to lane and feel a little bit better about getting those stacks ready.
Yeah, it really does feel like Charybdis has kind of joined the ranks of the upper echelon of the hunters. Pretty much this entire weekend it's been Cupid, Cernunnos, Ishtar. But then Charybdis has kind of snuck her way in to kind of be in that top 4, top 5 hunter for selections. Whether that just be due to the nature of fighting up against so many Cupids, and as you highlight, the amount of safety that she has in her kit to be able to deal with something like that. Or maybe it's just a new flavor of the month coming out, or even from some of the rumblings I've been seeing from some of the pros onto Twitter, or maybe some of the, whether they be YouTube clickbait videos or not from players like Zapman,
Hey.
maybe an underrated hunter, at least as far as Charybdis
Zap
goes.
would never clickbait us, the
That's
viewer.
that's all truth from Zapman.
Yeah, I truthfully do think that at the moment, Charybdis is top 4. Yeah, I think that checks out pretty well. No way that she's going to be prioritized over Ishtar, Cern, or Cupid, but definitely top 4 at the moment. We've seen a bit of like Heimdallr ban, but I think top 5 is a bit contested, but number 4 certainly is that Charybdis, and it's not for anything other than the fact that she is just so safe. A lot of these teams want to play through dual lane because the Interceptor is over on that side of the map, the Gold Fury's on that side of the map, as well as just a good bit of farm. So when you try and gank duo and you realize there's a Charybdis there, you gotta go somewhere else. And in this case, towards solo lane, good Fearless onto Sarpé.
This could be a kill if Rapio comes back in to help out, but he's a little too late there. Stunned inside the transformation, but double tether stun allows Rapio to jump away. Panvich stunned by the leap of Kha'Zix, but that's a tier. He's not too worried about CC. He'll be able to dash his way on out, even holding on to that Lawbringer if something does arise next time.
Yeah, good stun, but that's going to be it. And I think it was close, because Rapio was almost out of range of that tether, but because it came through, no kills yet. Still, about 1,000 lead in favor of the Aaru Scorpions, just by nature of clearing a bit faster and farming these camps a little bit quicker throughout the entirety of this map. Level lead for GunTTeRR as well. I think this Yu Huang has been able to just power farm in the mid lane, try and get Book of Thoth online even before the Transcendence, and continue that. But with no Heart Bomb, I was going to say Kha'Zix has a decent opportunity to go for a steal, but recognize that Predss is on the way, and it's just going to toss a hammer out and leave. I think around level 10, J-Mac, it's probably we're going to see a little bit more aggression towards Pyromancer. No team is feeling too confident as to go for a Gold Fury just yet, but I see a lot of auto attackers on both of these squads, which usually means that you're going to have an opportunity to go pull a Pyromancer and just shred it very quickly. Especially with Itori going towards the Golden Blade, just means that this Achilles should be clearing a little bit faster than Panvich and being able to rotate out if need be. I just realized there's 2 executes on the side of the Warg, so where's the Thanatos at? That would really complete this squad as a deadly force.
Dang, now we need to add like 2 more gods that can also execute, so we can have a full 5-stack execute comp.
I'm down for it. I want an execute in every role.
Well, I guess here's the unfortunate part then is like Ao Kuang and Thanatos are more often than not junglers. I guess you can maybe throw like Thanatos in the solo lane. Maybe
throw Ao Kuang solo too, I think.
Maybe throw like Achilles in support role or something like that as an option. We've seen it before, but now we need like a traditional mage and a traditional hunter to have an execute in their kits, and we can really round things out. But not going to have that this time, just the 2
No,
executes.
we are not.
And it will be all on the right side of that map, which really means that you don't need to kill necessarily, at least the jungler and the soul laner for walking over. Just need to get either of them down to around that 30% or so threshold. And then you can take them off the map with those ultimates. Sarpe rotating back over towards mid, but it's just to help Hawk, who has been losing a lot of pressure towards GunTTeRR. This Yu Huang has just been allowed to free farm and free cast in the mid lane. GunTTeRR doesn't even have a care in the world.
Yeah, it certainly has been the case with that Trebuchet getting the beads down from Hawk. Now opens up the opportunity to go for the red buff invade, but it looks like even more damage going the way of this Neath. There's no way Hawk will be able to defend by themselves, but it looks like the rest of the team's on the way. GunTTeRR already used that fatal strike, so he's going to be in some trouble.
But should go down here. A lot of ultimates thrown towards GunTTeRR. Won't need the execute from Sarpe. And the ultimate from Hawk was just there to scare him away. First blood goes to the Niflheim Wargs. And that will at least shore up some of the gold lead that the Scorpions had been building up from this early farming. Red buff invade, successful to the Wargs. Maybe, if Sarpe was willing to stick around, could have been a potential kill towards Predss. But for now, they'll take their pick, they'll take their buff steal, and they'll walk away.
Certainly will. Sarpe didn't even have to use the ultimate there. And yeah, GunTTeRR just used the Celestial Flight to try and close gap and get a little bit of extra damage onto Hawk, and then realized pretty much immediately, probably shouldn't have done that. There was a World Weaver coming in, Predss was able to block it, but the damage was a little bit too much there. And I think First Blood going towards your Aaru Kwang is exactly what the Wargs would like. That fast track to late game, trying to brawl up against Rapio is not easy, but with First Blood, a little bit of extra gold in pocket, and getting that Soul Gem online, which Sarpe was just able to do, is a big win here for the Niflheim Wargs. I talked about level 10 is when I'd see them get active. It was true, but not exactly where I thought. I expected it more so towards the Pyromancer. That was a bit of a red buff invade, and that's off the back of aggression from the Aaru Scorpions. That was a backflip from Hawk into dueling dragons, pull the beads. Hey, the beads are down. You want to invade this red buff? Oh, wait, the rest of the team is here. Probably shouldn't be at that red buff. And now Rapio losing the battle with Itori. Needs to back up here.
Panvich is, well, he was kind of winning the battle with Sarpe, but then that lifesteal started coming through. Taunt off of the dash. Itori able to get away from Predss, who's hit over towards level 9. Gold that evened out to essentially nothing, 600, experience in pretty much the same column there. Bouncing between that 400 to 800 mark for the two squads. No sizable lead in any of these roles. Rapio the first one to hit that level 12 point though, so getting a little bit of extra farm. Onto the jungler, never a bad thing. He's able to back up by Berserker's Shield second. That'll go alongside that Golden Blade, so extra clear and extra boxing potential against some of these physical gods, but Panvich may go down here. World Weaver does connect. Need a little more damage for the execute. Beads gone from Sarpe. Itori can't tank this tower anymore, and he has left Sarpe to die to the wolves. The Aaru Scorpions will get one, maybe two execute from Itori used defensively to get away.
I think we've all been there where Sarpe was, where it's like, okay, I can't get out unless I execute here, so do I try and retreat? No, I'm just going to try and get the health threshold, and Panvich was just not dropping. That HP was not going down. Hawk does backflip in to try and find the Spirit Arrow off the mark. He's going to get the beads down from Davy, but that was Kha'Zix, and now the Draconic Transformation turns up, which means Gold Fury is going to help through. Aaru Scorpions were able to grab the Pyro in the meantime, but it's just Davy who's going to try and defend this.
Davy's just got to get around Kha'Zix. Maybe. No, Niflheim Wargs.
That looks so close.
Do get the Gold Fury, but it is traded for a Pyromancer for the Aaru Scorpions, so net gold definitely goes in favor of the Wargs. In that case, brings it to an even closer game. And the gold department experience doesn't really shift up all that much there. So now, I mean, you were talking about maybe getting a little bit active earlier on around that level 10 mark. Now with both objectives down, Charlie, feels like we could be waiting until maybe level 15s to see this next fight. Now with that Pyromancer down, do you imagine that might be still the same side of the map that we'll see that aggression go towards around that time?
Yeah, I mean, Davy did use the beads there, so I guess there's an opportunity for Rapio to head over to duo lane and try and look to help out Davy in that regard, but it doesn't. You're up against Spudio. Like, you can't gank Charybdis. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just sitting back farming until Pyromancer and Gold Fury spawn in once again. That Oni Fury could be very important in this game, especially with how tightly knit all these fights have been, and also neither one of these teams have really been able to force anything. But now I see a little bit of a rotation towards Predss as Athena might be getting caught out. No, that's just going to be the dash, and everyone's going to retreat. So yeah, I think you're spot on there. Could be about level 15s for these carries before the fights begin, but even so, with relics down, you have about 60 seconds to force something. Sarpei also doesn't have beats for another 40. That's really your only opportunity to get aggressive. If one team was to force a fight, though, I would still want it to be the Aaru Scorpions. I think Rapio is in a very good position after finishing that X item, whether it be Executioner or Kin size. More than likely the Kin size. Rapio is going to be absolutely shredding to some of the top DPS on the map once that item is finished.
So we talked pretty much at length about the safety of Charybdis, maybe why she's starting to kind of rise up as a top pick of the Hunter. Maybe. I'm not even going to talk about what I wanted to because Predss is being shredded away. Dueling Dragon Delay, it's Kha'Zix. Panvich with the Fearless overthrow. Sarpei cannot make it out. The Scorpions get aggressive. They take one, but Predss body blocked. And the execute will not be there for iTorii. Instead, it's the Aaru Scorpions coming up with a net 1 in the fight, and the Niflheim Wargs back themselves away. Predss has ultimate, could rejoin this fight at any opportunity, but will elect to walk back through with his team finding the one pick.
Yeah, that was real unfortunate there for the Wargs. That was 2 opportunities. Sarpei's beats had just come off cooldown right when the Ao Kuang died. And then, of course, iTorii not able to quite find that execute. Charging up World Weaver here, possibly looking to get aggressive onto Davey. The beats come through, but here comes Predss, and now Athena's on the way.
Dash out. Harpom stuns Spudio. Back to the duo lane for both the original duo lane members, and maybe that gives me a good transition to go kind of what I was talking about. You know, we've been mentioning about how safe Charybdis is. Does that kind of deter teams from then trying to play into that dual lane? You know, if you're going against a Charybdis, are you just saying, well, I might as well forfeit any attempt to go for a gank at that lane, or is that something where maybe you feel it needs to be handled with more of a scalpel-like style of play where you've got to be very precise in your gank towards there?
I think you do have to be precise, but it's more so your character selection. There's not too much opportunity for Osiris to chase down the Charybdis because the Whirlpool, you just zoom away and you don't care, especially if you're playing safely. But there are a few gods that can gank Charybdis. You know, if you're holding on to Brutalize until after the Whirlpool, it's a decent opportunity. You can chase down the Mon that way if you pick Fenrir. But in this matchup, I don't think there's any reason for Rapio to head left unless there is just completely pushed up to try and help out. Good kill on the Hawk, or damage on Hawk, I should say, but they're chasing this down.
Panvich wants this, but stops a little shy with the defensive stance Fearless. With Panvich over here, this can guarantee a tier 1 tower to the Aaru Scorpions, who can try and build back their lead that they had earlier on, sitting around 1,300 gold up. The experience is what's starting to spike a little bit more so, 2K to the Aaru Scorpions. You can start to see where most of that lead is coming from. It's that right side of the map. Panvich will level up over iTorii. 2 for Rapio over Sarpei. That gank in the mid lane really feels like it put a damper on Sarpei's farm.
It certainly did. Looks like just because Rapio has been getting off to, I mean, and that's the thing. Sarpei was able to get that first blood, but wasn't able to translate that into too much because of how deadly Rapio has been on this Osiris. Whenever Sarpei has shown up over to solo lane trying to find a gank, usually that Osiris has been following. But it looks like it's been just about that time where Pyromancer and Oni Fury will be up in about 10 seconds or so. And that could open up more aggression for both of these teams. Vision-wise, probably time to start getting some wards down. You can see Predss is doing just that. And already, it looks like a bit of a grouping here towards the Oni Fury. Davy's not going to start it up just yet. Just try and charge up that Harpom. Looking for a taunt on a Kha'Zix. That'd be some good poke.
That's some really nice poke. Half HP on the support for the Niflheim Wargs. Yeah, a little bit of self-sustain through. Sarpei being bullied by Panvich, but downside of fighting this Bluestone tier is that stealth's not going to last long, but just enough opening for the Aaru Scorpions to grab the Oni Fury. iTorii might be getting stunned by Rapio. Actually, Rapio walks away just before the sun goes through. Maybe seeing Hawk on the other side of there wasn't enough to back him away, and now set up for the Pyromancer. The Scorpions took this last time around and ended up giving up the Fury. Now it seems these guys might be able to take both of them, unless iTorii and the Wargs have something to say about it. Hawk charges ultimate onto Predss, but Predss isn't the one dealing with the objective. He's the one zoning on the left side of the fight. Pyro goes to the Scorpions. The Wargs will not fight into this one. So double neutral objective makes for a nice 3K spike for the Aaru Scorpions.
Certainly does. That's going to help out the Aaru Scorpions try and translate into late game. Sarpei is heading over a ward, trying to gank over Davy. Both relics are available and Pred's on the way. Honestly, I assume that's the end of the gank, but it looks like Sarpei still wants to go for this.
Ooh, that Maw got a little close, but not going to find the damage and the stun onto that one. So, Sarpei and Spudio unsuccessful in their kill towards Davy, but we're able to get Aegis and ultimate away from the Cupid, and an ultimate from Predss, which means that dual lane not going to have some of the tools that they would probably like moving in towards the next fight, but Davy's still holding on to beads, means that he still has a little bit of safety to go out there, maybe enough to avoid the execute that come from Sarpei, who just can't even catch a break in his own jungle, loses out on the Harpies. Panvich has Lawbringer, will use it, but he's got Rapio now for backup. He's fighting back into Sarpei, but Rapio also losing the battle. That is now 4 ultimates on cooldown for the Scorpions.
That was a lot of damage onto Rapio. This Osiris can definitely bleed if the Wargs are able to group up towards that damage. Looks like just going for the greater Scorpion is going to be the Scorpions. I never said that before. The Scorpion's going for the Scorpion. They're able to confirm that one for themselves, upgrade those buffs. But it's about that time where these ADCs should probably look to group up and head over towards the right side. But it looks like Panvich wants to blink on Spudio, will pull the beads. Is there going to be a continued chase? No, probably a smart call. And a teleport getting channeled from Itori, coming over to help out Spudio. Just because of a little bit of aggression. Losing the beads is big, but as long as you're positioning correctly, you have the mob soon as well, and the whirlpool you hold on to, should be just fine. If we're looking at XP throughout, I mean, Spudio's 2 levels up on a Davy. And actually, Sarpei just had to use that ult defensively, try not to get taunted back in. Didn't have the beads. That was the only form of CC immunity that Ao Kuang had.
Gonna be honest, Charlie, sometimes I forget that there's a non-execute tied to that ultimate, because we're so used to only seeing it when they're under the threshold to get gobbled up by the dragon at the top end. But now Rapio in danger. No, Spirit Arrow off the mark by Hawk. That should be enough for Rapio to get out. GunTTeRR being pushed out by Itori, and an ult in from Predss this time, because Panvich has shown up to shove Itori against the wall, but the DR is real, and Itori doesn't take very much time throughout that taunt. Lasted for maybe a half a second at best. Itori and the Wargs set up for the Fire Giant, a transform by Kha'Zix, but there are 4 Scorpions here. I'm not sure the Wargs want to commit to this one. Double Lawbringer into the damage of Davy and Rapio. The Scorpions have removed 2 Wargs instantly. Fire Giant picked back up. Predss will hold on to it as Hawk goes down. To the backside of the fight, though, is Sarpei. Could try and find some damage up. Could try and find a steal or a kill, but he will not find any of those. It's only death for the Niflheim Wargs and Fire Giant for the Aaru Scorpions.
I mean, the Wargs were behind, sure, but I don't think they had to go for that Hail Mary play. The Aaru Scorpions were grouped up as 5. You only make a Fafnir play like that when you know you've got the numbers advantage. You say, all right, let's quick burn this and get out. But they couldn't get out. All 5 Scorpions were there, ready to follow up. That's going to be a huge detriment to the Wargs fight later on in this game. And honestly, the Aaru Scorpions have all the freedom in the world. Able to grab that tier 2 tower over on right. And now should just be able to back up, regroup towards Gold Fury, push down the tier 1 and the tier 2 over on left. We're going to be looking at close to a 12,000 gold lead by the end of this, unless, of course, the Warriors are able to group up and defend these towers. Looking at their itemization, again, Spudio's looking just fine, but besides that, if your whole plan is to get Sarpei to the backline, it is not going to be easy with no beads for another 2 minutes or so. This Ao Kuang does not have that same level of freedom. Rapio's been able to upgrade that Mannequin Mace, which is going to be even harder for this Ao Kuang to be invis, use that water illusion. The tick damage is going to consistently be breaking that. And it does not look too good here for the Wargs. They're going to have to group up underneath their Phoenixes and just say, hey, hopefully someone stays too long and we get an execute, whether that be through Itori or Sarpei. Or at the very least, we can chain stun someone with a combo from Hawk and Kha'Zix and hope the Phoenix is able to do that damage. But fighting out from underneath their Titan does not seem like the best idea.
No, especially with the Wargs 6,000 gold in the hole. comparatively to the Scorpions, and that's only going to get worse with the Gold Fury and Tier 1 tower on the left side of the map being sieged by Rapio and Predss. That one goes down along with it, and that 6K quickly turns into 8,000. Some of that mitigated by the Pyromancer, but again, answered back immediately by Scorpions for a little bit more. The war of gold is definitely in favor of the Scorpions, and it could be even more than just that. Bracer down for the Scorpions, but instead of fighting for the left bird, they'll zoom on over to the mid, take the tier 2, maybe a little bit of extra poke over towards iTorii and the rest of the squad. The Scorpions haven't dropped the tier 2. They don't have the minions there. They don't have backdoor protection, so it takes a little while longer before it goes down. Panvich doesn't find anybody with the Lawbringer, and the Scorpions still push forward.
Yeah, they've got plenty of gold. Using the dueling dragons there, not going to find too much. And now it looks like Aaru Scorpions should be trying to back up here again. They got so much gold there, but they haven't spent any of it. The Wargs should be decently okay here to try and mount the defense.
Davey throwing some autos towards the Phoenix and Kha'Zix. Crits it for nearly 200. Taunt onto iTorii, gets the heart bomb on the Achilles. Forced to ult out, ends up stunning Hawk on the way out, who also eats a root from GunTTeRR. Sarpe goes in, Sarpe gets out. Same with the rest of the Scorpions, or at least for Predss. He'll back away, but ultimate online for Athena means that Predss will get right back to the battle.
Yeah, Predss has joined back in. Another dash taunt should be the call here. The Wargs have been able to defend so far. About 30 seconds left on this Fire Giant, and again, the Aaru Scorpions have not retreated to spend up their gold just yet. They are sitting here with so much in pocket, but they are trying to go for one last attempt to break the base. Kha'Zix, Sarpe, and Spuddy still have ultimates available, and there's a huge dash taunt.
Panvich is all to the pack line. Hawk is in the grayscale screen already. Rapio's got to ult out. Dueling Dragon slams Spuddio, but doesn't get the explosion from the connect. Panvich, the one-man army in the back line, has kept Sarpe out of the fight. The minions show up. Left side Phoenix will go down. Predss stunned beforehand. A taunt onto iTorii. This may be the death of the Achilles. The heart bomb is there. The fire and the autos are good. And Davey puts him down.
And that's going to be the full retreat there from the Aaru Scorpions. They're happy with 3K in hand for GunTTeRR and as much as 2K in hand for Davey. Time to back up, finish up those builds, and set up for the next Fire Giant that spawns in about 30 seconds. If the Wargs want to make a play, I mean, it's going to have to be here at this Fire Giant. They have fire minions to deal with over in left, but iTorii will be spawning there shortly, so I imagine you let the Achilles clear out that wave, send 4 to FG, and go for the full play. Unfortunately, with iTorii gone, the only execute you have is going to have to go through beads, and I see 5 beads available there for the Aaru Scorpions. Not one was going to be able to be pulled there. It's not going to be easy. I don't think defending under the Titan is a better option, though, because of how much damage that everyone on the Aaru Scorpions has over their counterparts on the Wargs. Predss and Rapio already stepping up towards this Fire Giant, and they're going to start the burn immediately with not a single Warg in sight.
We're looking at trying to step into Fire Giant at an 11K deficit. Nippon Wargs recognize that they can't stop this one. Fire Giant will go to all 5 of the Aaru Scorpions, with left Phoenix already down, but I mean, look how far up the 2 Hunters have pushed this one. Minions are going to be meeting almost all the way towards the tier 2 tower on the Scorpion side of the map. So instead, the Scorpions will group up mid, send Panvich over to the right, so they can start their push on the other 2 birds.
Certainly are. Remember, you don't have to worry about left lane, so could group up towards mid. But it looks like the Wargs are trying to go for a gank here. They're on a ward, though. They have to be onto this.
iTorii gets out the Fields of Love from Davey. Taunted by Predss. Only hits iTorii. That's going to be a heart bomb through. Execute is going to not even matter for iTorii because Rapio dunks on in. Spuddio running for his life in the maw. Gets enough distance, but Dueling Dragons shoves Kha'Zix right back into the Fearless. And that sets up for a 4 burn down. The Aaru Scorpions only have Spuddio left to deal with. They'll go ahead and take an extra Phoenix for good measure. But game number 1 will go to the Aaru Scorpions if they decide to go for the Titan. Maybe 1 extra kill onto Spuddio for good measure for the Dia side. And game number 1.
I can't believe how much GunTTeRR was feeding that game. Imagine dying once in a set like that. Jokes aside, just absolutely dominant. It just seemed to me like there was never a good opportunity there for the wards to fight back. They kept saying, okay, maybe we'll just sit underneath this Phoenix, you know, we'll sit back up, we'll maybe mount a defense next time, and next time just never came. I like the wraparound idea, because when you're 11,000 gold down and you got a bird down, you can't really mount a full-on defense. Catch them by surprise is the best call, but I think Predss consistently leading fights with these dash taunts was just too much.
Yeah, it really felt like the Wargs never get there feeding under them in that regard. So, game number 1 goes to the Aaru Scorpions. We'll see if the Wargs can fight back and keep their chances alive in game number 2 right after this.
The Scorpions take game number 1, and they look good doing it. And they managed to pretty much control a majority of that game, and by a majority, I mean pretty much all of it. There's a stumble, there's a single kill that the Wargs are able to get up. Slower pace to start, fast pace to end, and they managed to make things look good. And speaking of looking good, a lot of people like to make, well, actually, I don't even know if looking good is the right way to pivot into this, but they always do look really good. And it's the cosplay contest that is going on its 9th annual year here at SWC. I've always enjoyed hosting this one. It's a $9,000 total prize pool. And for those of you who want to join, you want to go to smygame.com/SWC for more details on that. It's going to be split master level, journeyman level, and then some gold star awards that are going to give you cash as well. The creativity, craftsmanship, likeness, thriftiness, and originality that's out there. Of course, the master level has had some of, like, we have props from people that have made things on the master level. It is just absolutely insane.
Yeah, we just
some of the
steal them. We yoink their stuff to make our set look better.
That one you see in the background, that Chernobog, I believe, had to have been a master level. The wings were insane. And then for those of you who can't make it, there is an online cosplay contest. Deadline for that, the online submission window is going to be closing at 11 a.m. Monday, December 19th. That's a week from tomorrow. So you make sure that if you can't make it to Worlds in person, that you can try to get in active on that one. But it's always a fun time if you're out there. Look, I'm married to a cosplayer. I understand con crunch. I will advise you get started now while you have the time and while it's easy to go to the store, because then otherwise you're looking at the very first week of January trying to slam everything together, and that will be uncomfortable. Katie in October sat in one room for like a week straight for 10 hours every day making a jacket and a shirt and shorts, and I think she had the boots.
There's a name for rooms
and
like
a
that,
weapon.
you know? Sweatshops.
Sweatshops. Yeah, and that's what she made the room. So sometimes that's just how it be. And then you put the fun term on it. Like Saturday, she's saying, "Yeah, it was just con crunch. You know, it's con." And I'm like, "No, that's just hard work."
Yeah,
for a week.
That's labor.
Speaking of hard work, the Scorpions had a little bit of hard work here in game number 1, but they come out on top no matter what. And hard work is what the Wargs are looking at now, being down 0-1. Because they have to fight back, not just in this game, 2 in a row, if they want to be able to continue this tournament for themselves. Otherwise, their SWC dreams end here. And Mifflin, this one, it just feels, again, like a lot of good control. Takes a while for the Scorpions to start racking up the kills. I mean, we're 6 kills deep, 22 minutes in. But a lot of team wipes, like, give them a lot of advantages, give them a fire giant, and then slowly start to overtake.
Yeah, I mean, this was a dead even game for the entire duration of the early. Incredibly slow pace, nothing going on, just farming, waiting, we're getting ready for a team fight. And then, out of nowhere, and I couldn't tell you what on the map forced this decision out of the Wargs, but they just group up, Fafnir transform on fire. Everybody's still alive, by the way. There are 10 gods on map. And they just pulled the objective in the face of all 5 members of the Aaru Scorpions.
Yeah.
It was the slowest, just most methodical game I'd ever seen up until that point. And then it was the fire pull into a 4-man wipe, into a fire giant for the Scorpions. And from there, a clean game for the Scorpions. But it was as if both teams spent the entirety of the early waiting for an unforced error. And the Niflheim Wargs were the only team to have one. And when there's only one thing happening in an entire match, you gotta win that one thing, and the Scorpions do.
It is something that we've seen. I feel like the duality of Wargs that we have gotten this weekend, where we get a team. I mean, you know, go back to how some of these squads have looked against some of the top teams. And just yesterday, the Wargs pushing the Ravens all the way the distance. Granted, sometimes you can say, is that from success? Is that not? You know, moments like that one, that was a really long set. Other matchups that the Wargs have had, upsets that the Wargs have caused, have been with some decent shot calling in there somewhere. And then sometimes you get this one, right? You get a game where it's just not going the way that you maybe want it to. You wait too long. And it's the complaint we almost always have, whereas if you're going to wait for 25 minutes for a single team fight, that one team fight's going to dictate the rest of the game. Not often are you going to take a loss 24 minutes in and then still be fighting at 60. And that is going to be a rarity for the Wargs. But now they're down 0-1. We'll see if they can bounce back in game number 2 as they swap sides. And so opening up the conversation, first pick Osiris, I believe is what it was for the Scorpions last time around. And allowing them to change up some of the draft, although it's again, I think from what you had said, it's kind of hard to analyze did the draft go wrong or did the play go wrong?
It was the play.
When there was only one play that ends up happening to really break things apart.
Well, it could be a byproduct of the draft that led to that play. When you've got a hyper late game composition, you know, the Neath, the Ao Kuang, this double hunter style draft, might lean you a little bit later into the game. You start to think you've got the ability to just blow up these objectives, and then you realize, oh wait, one of my hunters is actually Neath, so is it really a double hunter composition? Technically yes, but not exactly an execution. So this time around, I like the adaptation. The Wargs take Ishtar in first slot. There's some consistent pressure. There's a very strong bit of objective VPS. And in the team fight, if you're going for the yellow numbers build, a little bit of AoE damage as well.
You get the Ishtar immediately. Feels like a good pickup from what we've seen just over the last month, ever since her release. Then you get the answer back, and you get Cupid, you get Tier. I mean, we just saw the Tier looking pretty good. Granted, again, everything is based on one fight, but if the Tier looks solid, sometimes that's what you need. Achilles comes back for the Wargs, again, a pick that I've been sold on, and I think Itori has looked good on. But it's the Hover right now, Mifflin, that has me hoping for a little more, because the Lancelot has been treating them very well out of the jungle whenever Sarpe has picked that one.
Lancelot.
Yeah, I'm willing to say blanket statement, Lancelot, good character. And
Yeah.
you'd be hard-pressed to find a counter-argument to it. He's got damage output, he's got a little bit of displacement, but mostly it's that massive cripple field, the ranged poke, all really add up to a character that is oppressive with the lead and capable of fighting early on. So I like Lancelot, I like what he brings to this draft. Now all the Wargs need a little bit more consistent AoE CC, something to initiate these fights, and also maybe a little bit more magical damage so that you don't really itemize completely towards physical defense by nature of what they've got. No defense shred built into the kits, not a standard like AMC or Charybdis for your hunter. You kind of want to have someone generating enough threat that it's not just Midgard, Witchblade, Mystical Mail, physical defense stack. You know, you need something out there that can at least force some itemization onto the Scorpions.
I think, wasn't that something I believe it was the Scorpions did yesterday, was they itemize, or they focused their god pool very heavily into physical with nothing to penetrate. Trix Tank just went, oh cool, bought a sovereignty, bought some health, and then ran at them for the entirety of the game. Did not worry about it too much. You get your wish. They do separate some of it. They have the Ishtar, the Achilles, the Lancelot to start things off. They get the Merlin towards the bottom. Maybe not super heavy CC in the Merlin, does have some in there, but the magical damage in just swathes that he's going to be able to bring. And then Xingqian locked in as the support and as the setup. Camazotz is the answer back. Do you like what the Wargs have done to kind of close out their draft?
Yeah, I think, well, maybe the only thing I'm switching up is the Merlin. I don't think that god necessarily needs priority picks anymore. It feels like a lot of the other mages have been a bit more consistent, but otherwise Merlin has been serving the EU SEC well, very strong on siege, very strong on objective burn, very strong on base defense. Probably his strongest point is that base defense. And the Xingqian, I think, the most important of those bottom two picks, just consistent CC and initiation, burn away some of those beads, make it easier for the Lancelot to close gap.
Well, they get to answer the question now. Does the Wargs tournament life end here, or will they push us to Game 3? It's all on the line in Game number 2.
This is the most important game of the season for the Niflheim Wargs, because this one could be their last one for Season 9. A loss here means they are out of the tournament. We will not see these guys again in competitive until potentially season number 10. It's J-Mac, Trelly, and Doug to bring you the momentous occasion to see if the Wargs can extend their tournament life, or are the Aaru Scorpions going to run through this one and put themselves one set closer.
That was kind of nice.
That was honestly, I got a break for a moment. That was cool seeing the whole team group up to emote together. But the Aaru Scorpions now one game away from being one set away from qualifying to the SWC group stages. And again, this is a team at the beginning of the week. We go towards the pregame show that Billy had put up for it. And the Aaru Scorpions were one of those teams that were kind of in that top 3 of ones that could make it here. A win over the Wargs could put them in that position.
Yeah, certainly could. But knocking the Wargs off of their impeccable synergy is going to be difficult. I mean, I did not see the Aaru Scorpions group up as 5 and emote together, so that's a little bit unlucky. Hog will be able to confirm, and now some decent damage going the way of Predss. Almost never will that net a kill, though, just because of how tanky.
You two there, just turn and hit him. Spunio just hit him. He was right behind y'all.
I mean, yeah, but he's got med, and he's like a Terra.
Force the med out.
Yeah, but they can get like wave pressure, and that's cooler than forcing med out. At least in my opinion.
Look, man, one day these supports will learn that you can't just go for an invade against 2. Today's not that day, though, Trelly.
Nope.
Predss gets to walk away, and be back to nearly full HP like absolutely nothing happened.
I'm pretty sure I've only seen like 2 deaths from this. I think I've seen Genetics die once, and I've seen Jake die once from doing that play. Everyone else
It's not enough.
usually gets out just by nature of teams ignoring the support or saying, is it even worth it if we waste our full time killing the support? Because while this is happening, the ADC is just getting solo farm and pushing our wave under.
Well, no deaths in duo, but set up for the Scepter for Kha'Zix and Spudio. Predss wants to try and steal this one away, but not able to do so. So first Scepter rotation goes to the Wargs. Maybe a little bit of extended pressure here as Kha'Zix will W-key and Davy. Predss will kind of do the same towards Spudio, but instead we'll start stacking up the wave for, could be a good Heart Bomb to clear this one out. Heart Bomb does hit the minion though, not on towards Kha'Zix, who's still continuously jumping at Davy and Predss, but there's a lot of sustain on the side of the Scorpions. Kha'Zix getting ran at himself. Stun is good, but the 1v1 between the Hunters is going handedly to Spudio.
Yeah, Spudio missed the jolt though, so I was wondering if there was going to be some turn back from the Aaru Scorpions. Doesn't look like it. Just going to pop that meditation and drop some extra healing. You got to keep your eyes on the junglers though, because Sarpé has made that rotation over to Panvich. Panvich doesn't seem to care too much just yet, because here comes Rapio and a nice little heal. Going to make sure to keep that tier a bit better, as Itori took a bit of damage as well. Just the fight back and forth as these blue buffs spawned in. So I'm wondering which one of these teams are going to get the better. And because it's EU, and because there isn't too much brawling to be had at these blue buffs, it looks like just going to be no invade. Just each team going to get their own buff and back up. And now I want to overextend. I believe in, game number 1, it was around 9-10 minutes or so we saw our first real brawl in First Blood. I imagine same sort of pace, but no Alquangs in the game this time. Lancelot and Camazotz both do have that opportunity, and it both went into Blink. So Rapio and Sarpé could change that if they want.
Yeah, when I see junglers getting Blink, I want to see that. All right, I hit level 5, my ult is up. Let's get in there. Let's get our hands dirty, get a little bit of fighting going through, especially when your mid laners are also hitting level 5, especially for Rapio. I mean, he's got an easy get out of jail free card with that Bat Out of Hell, so I'd like to see the aggression come through maybe once that level 5, or maybe when that first item comes online for the jungler, especially since, as you've highlighted, they both have gone towards this Blink Relic, where it's beads the call for the mid lane. It's not going to do much against just raw damage output that Rapio and Sarpé both have.
Yeah, when I see Blink, I want Blink on cooldown. I don't even want it ever to be available. I want blinking always in, just for that extra bit of damage. But I don't think either one of these teams have been stepping up too much. Like, of course, the Wargs have pressure over in duo lane just by nature of Ishtar clear. But does that open up an opportunity for Sarpé to go over and say, hey, we'll use that pressure, or vice versa? Can Rapio go over? She saw that pressure. Looks like Rapio more so interested in forcing out the fatal strike from Itori, and that will happen. Ult for essentially nothing. A Vampire Bats connection is what Itori ulted there, but he's going to get the full wave, so shouldn't be the biggest deal. And blue buff hasn't spawned in yet, so good time to gank, and I guess more specifically, good time to use your ultimate, because once again, Rapio's not invading that blue buff. Just going to let that one slide, despite the fact that Itori really can't brawl with that little HP.
No, Itori going to have to play a lot safer, and actually requires Sarpé to come over and assist with that blue buff to make sure that Itori doesn't lose out on too much XP in lane. And also, specifically just doesn't lose the blue buff. Hawk will be able to solo out the mid camps on his own, thanks to the power of Fire Stance of Merlin.
He just ulted those camps.
He did. Can you believe that the mid laner ulted for mid camps, bro?
Yeah, that's pretty gross.
I'm gonna be honest. We don't see a lot of Fire Stance Merlin anymore. Even at like objectives, like where it used to be like be the shining beacon. Like, dang, he melts objective fire. It seems that like Arcane and Ice are just the two go-tos these days.
Yeah, because Merlin players realized, oh, I like doing damage more than every 14 seconds, so I'm not going to go to Fire Stance. And more specifically, if you do go to Fire Stance, yeah, you got the most damage. It's crazy. You're about to pop off. And then your one gets stunned, you're like, I wish I was an Ice Stance. Like, I wish I didn't get stunned out of my only damage ability for 14 seconds. So I definitely prefer sitting in Ice and Arcane as well. Unfortunately for Sarpé, missed the knock-up there, so Davy did not need to beats. And even if the knock-up did connect, I don't think Jousting Field would have been able to do that much gap close. So we're not going to see any kills happen or even any relics forced. So far, extremely even map state. The Wargs are up about 100 gold, and that's just by nature of they are currently farming some camps. Attempts, but no real commits. I haven't seen too many relics being forced either. Pretty much just been sitting back. Maybe Itori could do a little bit of damage here. Good blink is going to put him into the wall.
Execute, not blocked. But Fatal Strike again defensively for the Achilles. Itori, I mean, you rewind back to game number 1. Quite a few rotations over towards his lane. Removed that ability from him defensively more often than not. Now we jump into game number 2. 2 instances of Fatal Strike. Both of them defensively to get away from Rapio and Panvich. We haven't really gotten to see Itori be offensive on this Achilles just yet. If the Aaru Scorpions have anything to say, it might continue with that trend for a while in this game. But blinking towards Panvich. He's got Lawbringer, he's got Fearless, Fire melting away through, but Itori wishing he had that execute to go for the kill there, but doesn't have it, and now with GunTTeRR over, will be the end of the chase.
Yep, that's going to be it, just forcing that ultimate out. Sarpei decided not to go over to the right side of the map and trying to invade, but now a decent opportunity to go for a kill on a Sarpei comes through that heart bomb. It's not going to be enough to break the shield. Sarpei will be able to stay onto the horse and actually invade that purple buff. And it looks like Panvich is getting wrapped around here. It's going to take a bit, but this should net a kill. And it looks like, yep, Hawk has the damage there to confirm that one.
Missed the power cleave that may have been able to heal him and keep him up, but Sarpei may be punished for how greedy his play was on this side of the map. First blood goes to the Niflheim Wargs mid laner Hawk. Immediate response though for the Wargs, or for, I should say, the Scorpions, is to punish Sarpei. That's solo for jungle, but that does even up the gold between these two teams. Predss at no mana, keeping Spudio out. Successful purple invade for the Scorpions. Spudio goes in. Hawk is here, but I don't know what the two of them can do by themselves. Transform into the Arcane Stance, gets pulled on towards Predss, but Predss is very tanky and has that meditation. He'll be able to dash out, no problem.
Yeah, definitely win there for the Aaru Scorpions. They were able to step up, take the red buff away, and at least try and get a bit aggressive. Sure, you forced out the meditation in that slot from Predss, but TTeRR has been playing relatively safe, so I don't think it's going to be the biggest deal in the world. And more specifically, getting the kill on a Predss, a bit unfortunate. Hawk was able to get the kill, so a kill on your mid laner worth a bit more than the kill onto your TTeRR, but never going to be a full-on waste. The Wargs are still sitting about 600 gold ahead because of how much time Sarpei has spent on the left side of the map as opposed to over here on the right. Maybe that kill on a Panvich goes cleaner if Sarpei's not there, but this Lancelot wants to get active. This Lancelot wants to fight, and I think the longest lane on the map, the left lane, is the one to do so because you have so much gap close. Davey might think he's in a good position, and actually GunTTeRR might think he's in a good position. But you use that escape and that joust field chases you down, you might realize you're not in as good of a position as you thought.
Maybe not. The Aaru Scorpions down a little bit in gold right now, about 400.
The horse's name is
Niflheim
Drago. I didn't know that.
Well, I wonder if it's just that form. Its only name is
well,
only
yeah,
named Drago.
of course, and that's
because he's like the dragon, like the dragon tamer or something like that. I think was his skin name for that. I'm gonna be honest, it's hard for me to remember the names of all the skins, especially how many come out. Davey and GunTTeRR both low. Joustfield gets out for Sarpei. Stun from the Ishtar is good out of Spudio, but now Sarpei under fire. Bad out of hell, swipes in for another time. Sarpei is one hit, and the leap from Rapio will do so. Bats connect on a Hawk, get the beads from the Merlin. But Rapio hasn't fully given up yet, especially because he's got backup with the rest of his team. Spudio narrowly avoids the stun, able to jolt out. And the Aaru Scorpions get one. Don't get the second one because the bats are off the mark, and Rapio may have stepped too far forward now. Leap away from one, but Cxnnahh ultimate doesn't matter. Spudio's got the range.
Yeah, Spudio able to confirm that kill. That's a big deal, but now it looks like the Wargs are going to have to step up a little bit to try and chase down GunTTeRR. Red buff is starting to do a bit of damage, and I'm a Monster not available, but the slow from Crush is enough to get GunTTeRR out. Good rotation over from Itori, but not able to net really anything. As we're back to an even game kill-wise, but it looks like farm-wise, sitting about 400 in favor of the Wargs. I'm curious where they're going to actually start to get aggressive, just because of the fact that the game is so even. It seems like Sarpé, more often than not, the one that's getting caught out in this situation, because it's a false sense of security when you go in so deep and you're like, I'm just going to joust field out of here. But after you do that, you don't really have that much movement to get away, especially if you get knocked off the horse early.
Yeah, I mean, once you get dismounted from that horse of somebody else's volition, it makes it a little bit harder through, if you jump off the horse, whether you just, press the button to jump off there again yourself or throw an ability out there. That's you knowingly doing that. When you get caught off guard, never a fun spot to be for a Lancelot. It seems that both of these junglers, though, going in towards this pen tree twice. Both of them grabbing the Jotun's Wrath early on. I wonder what the call is going to be for the two of them if we see something like Crusher, maybe Brawler's Beatstick. That's the second item to go through. There is a lot of sustain that does come from the side of the Aaru Scorpions. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw some anti-heal come out of Sarpé.
Yeah, Sarpé definitely needs the Brawlers. I'm not sure if Rapio does. I think Rapio is pretty fine with just going the Crusher, depending on how much you really want to deal with, lifesteal and things like that. But I think if Sarpé doesn't get Brawlers there, probably trolling. I mean, you're up against Tyr. The Camazotz has a crazy amount of healing as well. GunTTeRR's got the Soul Gem, and that duo lane is a Cupid TerraR. So you're definitely going to want a bit of anti-heal in that regard. Getting a bit aggressive towards Panvich with this Tyr. Does not care. Hawk is gone!
Wow. So that was the raw power of Scylla on full display. Sicka misses there. Sarpé has Joust Field. Decides to go in, but a juke from GunTTeRR and a punish onto Sarpé.
Wow.
Predss credited for the kill and put all the credit to his name there. Rapio only got the last swing of damage to help put him down there. And what a turnaround by the Aaru Scorpions. What a great pick to start that one for GunTTeRR.
How many times have we seen Sarpé ult and then immediately die after? Beautiful stun there from Predss, as well as the ultimate. And that Rapio was able to proc there with the bat out of hell to confirm that kill. Second for the support. But yeah, knowing that Hawk speeds were down, once you land that Sikkim, pretty much guaranteed kill. Especially with that Amma monster landing. GunTTeRR has been on point with the Scylla pretty much this whole week. And going to it in a game 2 situation when you need this win, and especially getting even more kills towards the Scylla, like getting her online fast, not a good look here for the Wargs. GunTTRR's going to be absolutely swinging as this game continues.
Charlie, if I had a nickel for every time I've seen Sarpé joust field aggressively and die after, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot. But it's weird that it happened twice already. Just this game alone. We're only counting this game. I don't know about his other ones yet. Sarpé dove on by Spudio, but the brunt of the damage there is the Spudio have the in-hands. No, he does not. Or at least they don't hit hard enough. Didn't get a couple of those lucky crits, Sarpé. Are we going to get 3 nickels this time? Yep. I think the answer is yes to that. I'm at 15 cents now, baby.
You're going to be rich.
Bro, I'm going to have $1 by the end of this game.
I mean, Sarpé needed a kill there. I feel like when you're 0-3, it is certainly worth it to be 1-4. So I think Sarpé happy to make that trade, but would have much preferred to live in that instance. I think just a little bit of miscommunication. If Spudio was able to tank up the tower, Sarpé would have been able to get out in that situation. But again, 1 kill is all they need. Sikkim off the mark, but Rapio on the way as well. Fatal Strike, not going to be able to get you out of that one. Itori goes down for the 6th kill for the Aaru Scorpions. Both neutral objectives are available, though. Big grouping on the right side of the map. I was curious if we'd see that Pyromancer get looked at, but not going to be the play. The Scorpions are just going to take their small win and back up. I say small win because the gold is still relatively even, about 200 in favor of the Scorpions, despite having 3 more kills. But here it is. The Pyromancer finally going to get pulled, and once that goes down, the Wargs are going to know there's at least 2 members of the Scorpions on the right side of the map.
Scorpions now on a 6-3 kill lead and finally bringing the gold back to their side, at least. Not very much, though. About 700 up for the Aaru Scorpions. Gold Fury still standing. Means that's another opportunity for the Scorpions to try and extend their lead, but the Niflheim Wargs, the ever-mindful team, are the ones that pull this one first. Predss and Davey the only ones here, but the crits going through, the damage from this Merlin is just too much. And the gold that the Scorpions had just built up has immediately been squandered right back away. It's gone over to the side of Niflheim Wargs once more.
Yeah, they were able to confirm that one, and now we're back in the situation we were in game number 1, where there was a bit of fighting. Both objectives went down, and it was just pretty much a stalemate until Predss was able to find another dash taunt. In this case, TTeRR still does have that same level of opportunity, but it's a little bit harder to perform. I mean, dash taunt is pretty easy. It's hard to miss a taunt, but you know, the Earthen Fury, the clap from the stun, is pretty easy to juke, especially if you're watching out and just juking accordingly. So I don't imagine that much aggression comes from the Aaru Scorpions in the coming minutes, unless someone just oversteps too far. And in this case, looks like Panvich is just trying to force something. Did not get the relic from Hawk, because Hawk realized, hey, this is just a tier and I'm going to be fine. Actually, Sarpay, GunTTeRR is on point. I'm a monster. Destroys the Lancelot.
Bro, he's got the scope on dial for all of these players, because he has not missed an I'm a monster yet this game. Even finding one on towards at least iTory earlier on. Hawk transforms over into Arcane stance. Maybe fortunate for him that GunTTeRR's ult is on cooldown, so he doesn't have to worry about a stray I'm a monster clipping him. The Aaru Scorpions add another kill to their books. Can they find anything more beyond here? I mean, Pyro is down, Gold is down, so you gotta imagine not much reason for either of these teams to do a whole lot of scrapping.
You'd say that, but Panvich is bored. And that's what that blink onto Hawk
You know what,
told
fair
me,
enough.
is that Panvich wants to get active. Why not run through the back of tier 1 tower and try and get Hawk again? That's what Panvich wants, and that's what Panvich will get. Was not able to find the Fearless. Good CC there from Hawk. Just use that stance switch and say, I'm going to continue to juke you out and not get my beads down. So both relics still available for the Merlin, as it's pretty much a 5-man grouping here from the Scorpions in mid. Offering's close as well. Both of these teams very close to the Trebuchet, but the Wargs are currently winning. It looks like a possible invade just to make sure this Trebuchet goes in their favor, but I don't know if anyone's going to be able to be in that position to go for it. So probably just going in favor of the Wargs, unless someone can find a rogue offering on the map. And that's a big win here, because there's no objectives up. So it's just Trebuchet fighting. I mean, you're not going to go for Pyromancer or Fire Giant, because they're down, so. And the Fire Giant used all the damage for. I want to see it. Someone get the Trebuchet. Who's going to win?
It's got to be whoever gets the duo, because I think the one by the Harpy Pit is the closest
Predss
up.
is going.
And I saw
Predss is going.
the pings coming from the Scorpions towards it. Spudio could have Predss. Jukes away from the swords out of Spudio. There are three three Wargs to back the Scorpions away. There it is, just Spudio turns. Spudio. No, they're gonna give it to Davey.
Oh.
Wait, okay, so I think Davey dropped it, but he didn't pick it up. Fred's gonna walk over and grab it. So there we go, Trebuchet
GG.
to the Aaru Scorpions.
That's it.
That gives them a little bit of extra boost towards at least their duo lane, for that Trebuchet will spawn in. Rapio stunned by iTory off an attempted blue buff invade for the solo laner, but now the Scorpions have the momentum. They've got the Trebuchet, they've got the win con, and more importantly though, Trelly, they've got the beads and the ultimate from Spudio.
Well, less important. The Trebuchet, like I said, was the win con. So once you get that, you just win. I don't think getting Spudio's beads is a guaranteed win, but having that medieval siege device in the back of your spawn is definitely a win condition. As that tier 1 tower is not going to go down, Spudio was able to defend, and now Kha'Zix and Hawk trying to see if they can chase down the Scorpions. Will not be able to. And this game has stalled out long enough. That Fury will be up in about a minute, and Pyromancer even before so. It looks like once again Sarpay using that Joust Field aggressively, but in a much better position to try and chase down Rapio. The blink is available. Rapio might need to use it if Sarpay can close gap, and will not be able to. So the blink goes down, and Rapio gets out of harm's way, but that Pyromancer spawns here shortly. The Wargs aren't set up for it.
Maybe most important for Sarpay's mental is he didn't Joust Field and die right after.
Yep.
So I'm not 5 cents richer, but maybe Sarpay is 5% happier because of that. Able to go back, get up his speed buff, and he needs all the XP that he can get right now. Starting to fall behind pretty quickly to Rapio. It's 2 levels when that fight had broken out. Rapio going back to base means he wasn't able to get a whole lot of farm, but he can start answering back on this Camazotz. But talking about farm, GunTTeRR level 19 on the Scylla, close to hitting that level 20 mark before level 20 hits. Probably will take a little bit before he's able to get to that point. Even Spudio close to hitting level 20 on this Ishtar. Gonna pull out the Primal Fury. Predss is on the way, but this Hunter Mage combo between him and Hawk are melting through. Primal Fury leashed away from the Fields of Love. Can Predss seal with the wall? No, he cannot. The Wargs get the Primal Fury. Spudio ults. GunTTeRR eliminates Kha'Zix by himself. Again, another I'm a Monster. That takes somebody down, but GunTTeRR can't close the gap to go for one of the carries this time. Sarpé, Joustfield out. And now iTorii is rotating to take down Davey. Spudio pushed back by Panvich. And Fearless is not going to be able to get the kill as the Aegis comes through for the Hunter.
Certainly does. Look at the Scorpions wanted a little bit more. They did not want to trade just Kha'Zix for Davey in that situation, but they weren't able to chase any further. The Wargs do a good job of confirming that objective and getting out. Only losing one member. Definitely worth. You can tell the Aaru Scorpions are trying to still get aggressive here, rotating over towards the Pyromancer, but Sarpé and iTorii are onto this, and they're going to step up as well. Scylla Sikkim is down, but the Crush still the best confirmed currently, but here comes Hawk. Wants to do some damage over the wall. I imagine that's going to be the end of the Pyromancer for the Scorpions, and now the Wargs are going to be able to pick up this objective.
But Predss and GunTTeRR are still sticking by. Monoliths drop for Predss. Heal up he and GunTTeRR. Pyromancer starting to fall down low. They got to get quick to steal it. But the Wargs will be able to grab this one. Kha'Zix and Sarpé rooted by Predss. Dash out by GunTTeRR. Still holding on to both relics. Gold. Now only 800 to the Aaru Scorpions off the back of the double objective from the Niflheim Wargs. But the fact that 2 objectives went the way of the Wargs and they still are down in gold just shows the level of farm that the Scorpions have been able to get before that point through. It's been a while since we talked about GunTTeRR being level 19. He just now kicks over to 20 about 2.5 minutes later, I believe. But that's a massive power spike for the Scylla as long as he's got the gold in pocket. Upgrade that starter item, that's going to be huge for GunTTeRR.
Yeah, full Obsidian Shard.
And it does.
Pendulum comes through as well. And just power spike of level 20 Scylla.
That's a good point too.
Is also massive. You get an extra passive stack. So if you thought the Scylla was swinging before, and I did, it's going to be doing even more damage. And I'm looking towards, I mean, unfortunately, most of the time it's been Sarpé with those I'm a Monsters. This god Scylla is going to be absolutely slapping. And not even off, so I'm not going to discredit the tanks. I think Predss and Panvich have had a great game, but GunTTeRR's been setting up for himself mostly. I mean, it's just been Sikkim, Crush, I'm a Monster, reset, and then just look to see who else you can kill. And I want to look for that even more so now. Essentially 5 full items are online with that upgraded starter.
Fire pulled by somebody, unsure, who decided that they wanted to start this fight or if it was just a stray bystander in the midst of this fight. But GunTTeRR, the lone, I want to say lone wolf, but he's like a lone, like, fluffy dinosaur in the skin. We'll walk forward.
Oh my goodness!
That's half by himself.
And he missed one of his abilities.
Yeah,
there was another one.
Yeah, he had a poly shot that joined in on that one. Kha'Zix not feeling great about the poke that GunTTRR's able to put out onto him. Got to maybe fear for the life of the carries. If a combo like that can land from GunTTRR, who will have to heal up some. Fire Giant still up by the Scorpions. It is bounced on a knife's edge. I'm a Monster. Will it hit? Yes, it will! Reset for GunTTRR. Aegis out of Hawk will get him away from the damage, but Rapio will go in deep to try and get the kill on towards Spudio. Misses the Screech, but gets the damage after, but executed by iTorii. Finally, nobody gets anything from there, but GunTTRR lives through there. Aegis keeps him alive. Hawk dies in the back, but he takes down his opponent with him. And look at all the blood pools sitting on the ground from all the deaths of this fight. 7 players down, 2 left for the Scorpions, 1 for the Wargs.
Certainly still in favor of the Scorpions, though. I mean, 2-1, that's not the biggest deal, but Trebuchet over on the left side will be able to grab that tier 2 tower unless iTorii makes the rotation over. And if iTorii did make the rotation over, you run the risk of losing Fire Giant to Panvich taking and Davey DPSing, and I don't think they're willing to make that risk. So it looks like both Kha'Zix and iTorii are beelining for that Fire Giant to at least get some vision down, make sure they know if that Fire Giant is being done. It's going to take a bit, but that Trebuchet, one more after that shot. Oh, that one's enough. Man, that thing's chunking.
It's a beefy fireball.
Oh, yeah. Takes down the tier 2 tower, so even more gold in pocket of the Aaru Scorpions. Big fan of GunTTRR's ultimate there on the reset from Kha'Zix, but the issue with Scylla, when you're casting on a monster, you stand still for quite a bit of damage, and Hawk was able to find a bit as well. Now Hawk has been able to match that Pendulum of Aegis. You got to imagine Soul Reaver coming soon here for the Merlin. So both mages on both of these teams are absolutely chunking, but the Aaru Scorpions have grouped up towards FG once again. And Spudio is actually on the left side of the map, just retreated, so it's going to be a 5v4 for a bit.
Fire started though. GunTTeRR frontlining for his team. Crush. Taking about 20% of Kha'Zix's HP. Stun on towards iTori. Fire Giant there. And it will go to the Aaru Scorpions. Sarpei to the back line. Kha'Zix already gone. And an ult out by Sarpei to get away from the stack because Panvich is bullying the backline by himself once again. Sarpei, the bat out of hell, will swing in. And Rapio drops him down. iTori chased by Predss, but able to blink out before the CC and the damage connect this time through. Scorpions now with all 5 with fire.
They get to run it down mid and tier 2 on right, seemed to be the call, but grouping up in mid, definitely the better idea. 16 seconds on Kha'Zix when these poly shots are going to start flying here from GunTTeRR. This Phoenix is the target, and no ultimates available for the time being. Panvich is close, but it looks like they want to get this Phoenix for absolute free unless the Niflheim Orcs have something to say about it.
And so far they do have something to say, but they didn't say it very loudly.
Yeah, they had earmuffs on.
Yeah, they're kind of whispering it to themselves like, I don't know, like, I don't think they can take this Phoenix. Oh, they took the Phoenix? Oh, okay, I guess we'll have to go back through. Mid Phoenix falls to the hands of the Scorpions, and now they'll back away and grab an Oni Fury on their way back out. Only one tower left standing, that's the one on the right side of the map in solo lane, tier 2 still up. But Oni Fury down, Phoenix as well, and the Scorpions with their first significant lead of the game, pushing close to 6,500. Charles, we start moving in towards Phoenix Sieges, something that was brought up on the desk earlier, and I'll get your thoughts on it as well. I mean, how does this siege defense look for the Niflheim Wargs?
Well, it's never easy to push into a Merlin just because of how many large AoE abilities he has. So clearing the wave and also pushing back and zoning the Aaru Scorpions will come relatively easily. The issue, though, arises when you've got 2 blink users like Panvich and Rapio. Rapio specifically, this bat out of hell is a very annoying tool. Once you go up into the air, essentially all of the wargs have to back up and say, hey, we can't peel this, we can't run away from this, we just have to either eat the damage or retreat. And if you're retreating, you're losing the bird. So I imagine the call here is protect Hawk, let him clear the wave, let him DPS. If whatever tank is actually getting hit by the Phoenix, more than likely Predss, try and execute with iTori. That would be the call for me. Just try and get as much CC as you can to whoever's tanking this Phoenix, and Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, throw him, CCM, whatever you can, so iTori gets the confirmed execute and try and keep this bird alive. It's not impossible, but it's also not going to be easy just by way of pretty much everyone on the Aaru Scorpions having so much damage and survivability just built into their kit. Especially what this cooldown med and the bracer being dropped by Predss, if they're fully stacked up, it'll not be easy. And someone has to defend mid-Phoenix. So you're probably looking at a 5v4 if the Aaru Scorpions are able to use this fight how they want. And since Panvich is over in mid, someone's going to have to pay attention.
Sarpei going to be pushed off the horse by Panvich, and Sarpei eating a little too much damage, and even Hawk, half HP on the Merlin. He'll have to go back to base. That's going to make a massive power play for the Aaru Scorpions. Left side bird is an afterthought. They'll take that one down with relative ease, and now group up. I was wondering if they were going to head right, but maybe with only 40 seconds left on this Fire Giant power play, they'll go ahead and strip what's left of the jungle, grab the last offering they need for the obelisk, and then send that trebuchet down whatever lane it happens to spawn in. Because the Aaru Scorpions so far up at this point now, as we start to peter towards 8,000 gold, the defense of the Wargs becoming a little bit tougher.
GunTTRR's going to get a full Rod of Tahuti there for sure. Yep, was able to purchase that one, which means, I don't know if you thought GunTTRR was doing big damage numbers before. I did. You know, those were weak numbers, but now...
Those were little baby numbers. Those were Weenie Hut Jr. numbers.
Yeah, well, this is going to be Weenie Hut General. Once the Rod of Tahuti comes through, I think GunTTRR is absolutely going to be popping. And the Wargs have made their decision. I see no one backing to clear those fire minions. And I see a grouping of 4 currently, and iTori's over and right. This is a desperation play a lot of teams make. When they know they have to defend Phoenixes, they group up and just try and force the fight before their Titan is dying. And that's going to be the call. Unfortunately for the Wargs, a few of them walked over a ward. So the Aaru Scorpions know that there's an ambush being set up at least somewhere. They don't know where, And now they're able to sit back and wait for that enhanced fire giant to spawn, and the rest of the wargs go back to make sure their Titan does not die. Good news is that mid-Phoenix spawns up here shortly, and iTorii does have teleport, so you could just send Achilles to clear the left wave, teleport in, and fight at EFG. Bad news is that I'm a Monster is the best confirmed on the map by a large margin, and it's been very difficult to kill GunTTeRR. Only one death on this Scylla so far. But it looks like actually the Aaru Scorpions realize someone's here. They're not going to sit back for much longer. Force or Whirlwind of Rage and Steel, but to the backline goes iTorii.
iTorii versus 4. He's got a bubble, but the bubble's not going to save him from just the raw damage output that the Scorpions have. Sarpe looping very far around the backside of the fight. This is going to be a very awkward pincer maneuver by the Warg should they decide to execute this strategy. Sarpe still standing behind the wall. Enhanced Fire Giant pulled by the Scorpions. Kha'Zix does not have ult. Does have a way out. Sarpe, jousting field, he got spotted.
Blink.
And will likely be going down. The bats miss, but the screech hits. And Sarpe is gone. Might not even need the Fire Giant, says the Scorpions. But Panvich is going to try and keep iTorii out. Hawk gets a little bit of damage towards GunTTeRR. Half HP on the Scylla. Fire Giant not taking a whole lot of damage just yet. Predss misses the stun on towards iTorii. But Davies is going to keep pelting autos through. But Davies needed it. Fire Giant if this one wants to go down cleanly. Hawk doesn't have any chance to steal. And I'm a Monster confirms the objective.
Yeah, Enhanced Fire Giant goes down, and now the Aaru Scorpions can get that last tower off the map. That tier 2 over and right with the Trebuchet should be able to go through there. But now left Phoenix should be spawning up here shortly. Spudio taking care of those minions. The Aaru Scorpions playing this smart though. They're not going to wait around for anyone to clear. They're going to say, hey, let's get this immediately while we have this Enhanced Fire Giant and while Sarpe is still dead for 8 more seconds. The Wargs are, this is risky play, stepping up this far trying to defend, but it looks like it's the only play they have.
Trebuchet will start pelting the Phoenix. Feels the love, gets beads out of Hawk. So that gives Panvich a perfect target to try and jump in for this next fight. But Trebuchet gone. Waiting for the minion wave despite Enhanced Fire Giant. Removing those backdoor protections. The Aaru Scorpions playing this one patiently. Sarpe is back. It's now a full 5v5 defense, but left Phoenix might just go down to the minions if nobody goes back over to answer. No one did rotate over. And so left bird will fall once more.
Panvich tanking means Rapio can get this Phoenix for absolute free as well. So losing 2 birds to defend the right one is the call that the Wargs have made, but they're still standing strong here as 4. It looks like Rapio's just going to go for the Titan at this point, and the Wargs they're forced to respond. They've got to go in.
Oh, Sarpe joust fields in, and I might just get 20 cents off of this one because he goes down at the end. Kha'Zix falls as well. iTorii trying to defend against 3, but his life will succeed while the Rapio and Panvich able to take down the Titan by themselves. And the set goes 2-0 to the Scorpions.
Yeah, just beautiful map control. I think the Wargs made a decent call saying, hey, we're going to defend this right Phoenix, and that's the Phoenix we want to defend. But once you lose 2 and fire minions pour in, the Titan becomes a little bit more important than that right side bird. Still decent damage and a decent fight back, but GunTTeRR was absolutely popping off. Rapio wins that 1v1 versus Lancelot pretty much every time, and Panvich was just unkillable.
Yeah, I think the question in this game was how do we stop GunTTeRR? The answer was, well, they couldn't stop GunTTeRR, and that allows the Scorpions to push through. They take 2-0. They move on to at least one more chance to be able to qualify in towards the group stage. That's it for me and Charlie. Throw over the desk to break it down.
A lot of interesting fights in that one, but the Scorpions take it 2-0. I say interesting, I remember 3 people dying on the Scorpions, 4 on the Wargs. Again, a very tumultuous set, I think, for some of the early game. More fights this time around, which is what we wanted to see out of the Wargs last time, but still the same end result, especially towards the end there, Mifflin. 2 Phoenixes going down, the defense, fire minions pouring in left, and when you have 2 who just go, let's just go in there. That Titan's empty. We just go kill it. It kind of fell apart. Wargs too separated in a lot of their engagements.
I'm going to preface this by saying Predss and Davy played well. They had a phenomenal game. Panvich, Rapio, and GunTTeRR kind of did everything they needed that match, right? I mean, it didn't necessarily matter how strong the duo lane was because those 3 were able to control every single team fight so incredibly well. Rapio was I suppose, the tankiest guy on the planet, but wasn't exactly building any defense. Just too scary to return damage to. It felt like in every single one of the engagements, he'd go straight into the back line, and nobody was willing to do anything about it. Or Panvich would straight up walk up and make it so the enemy mage couldn't do anything, or the enemy mid laner rather. GunTTeRR was applying damage from a range that nobody was returning, or even at times initiating with Scylla. I mean, how often are you seeing plays like that where someone just walks up to Greater Scorpion and says, I'm going to solo you, and it just works? As a Scylla, it is not often a play that we get an opportunity to see. So impressive stuff from the Aaru Scorpions. This one felt a bit like mechanics diff at times, just Rapio pressing buttons a little bit better than his opposition. GunTTeRR, Panvich the exact same. Predss and iDavy free stride throughout the mid to early game, and eventually rotated into a match that was just absolutely in their favor. But worth noting, Niflheim works, they're going home, but impressive that they even made it this far, man. I mean, that is a wild run for them.
That's exactly what I was going to touch on. First off, it does have to be mentioned. 1-9 there for Sarpe. 6-2 though for Rapio. 5-1 celebration for the Scorpions. But much like what you said, I mean, you got to think about it, a long tournament life here for the Wargs, making it into the top 4 as the 6th seed. Just to name the teams they outlasted. They lasted longer than Personnel, number 2 seed from the SOC, Thunderhead, number 1 seed from the SOC. They also outlasted the Gladiators and the Ferrymen. They played and existed much longer in this game and then this weekend than I think a lot of people would have given them credit for coming into it. And seeing that success end here makes me wonder what their future is going to be. All we know, unfortunately for them, is that it's not going to be SWC. It's going to be a Season 10 talk, if anything, for them. So Horizon looks good for them. Well, we do say goodbye to the Niflheim Wargs here. The Scorpions stay alive. In fact, the Scorpions have an interesting spot in the bracket now because they are in one of the qualifying matches that is left today. Now, where they will, or who they will go up against is up in the air, because Hexmambo and the Ravens are about to play. Winner of the next 2 sets go to the SWC group stages. That's just how it is. It's that simple. If you lose here between Hexmambo and Ravens, you're going to fight the Scorpions for that final spot. If you win here, you're just in. And so that is the ideal position. The Scorpions will be playing the loser of match number 14. And so it'll be a fun one to see how this all tackles out. Could be a rematch. I think no matter what, it might end up being a rematch for them. And the way that this is going to be tackled, it all depends on the Mambo and the Ravens right now for the Scorpions to figure out where their life is going to be at. Hexmambo, Ravens, top 2 seeds. The Ravens having a hell of a long set yesterday, but the Hexmambo not necessarily coming through this as cleanly as maybe we would have expected, having a couple stumbles along the way as well.
I mean, Hexmambo's loss, I would argue getting like blitzkrieg, just absolutely stomped in 25, a little bit different than a game going the entire duration and losing a late game where it's a little bit more even.
Yeah.
Hexmambo kept running into a team that was ahead of them, saying, hey, we're just going to mechanics diff you, or we're going to just play better and more decisively. And they're like, wait, hold on, we're 8,000 gold down, we're 9,000 gold down. We probably shouldn't be taking those engagements. But one loss, I think I'm not going to hold too much against Hexmambo. If anything, the Aaru Scorpions probably a bit confident. If it is going to be the Ravens, which I think most people would be projecting going down into that second opportunity, Aaru Scorpions just took out the Wargs, who took the Ravens to 3, and a very long 3 at that. Maybe they're building a little bit of confidence going to that match.
Should be feeling good for their setup. Right now, though, it is the number 1 seed taking on the number 2 seed for a spot at the SWC group stages. All of that coming up right after this.